Hi, I'm Andrew Armstrong and welcome to the back office teardown lab. Yes, today is a legit teardown. It's of this big monitor. Now, I received this from a good friend and he said it has an issue, this monitor. It doesn't work, basically. There's a problem with it, which that's fine. I mean, that happens all the time. So it's basically a goner for most practical use, which means it's ideal for me. And the reason it's got a problem is that its backlight doesn't work, and because its backlight doesn't work, then you can't see anything on the screen. And he says it flashes on briefly and then goes off, and you notice I'm not even testing it. That's probably a bit naughty. We can test it. I'll just take the stand off though so we can get it flat on the bench. Maybe one more screw needed in that stand. Over that sort of convenient hole here. Getting out there. It's amazing how many monitors and things don't have stands, isn't it? And TVs, where people obviously just buy them and chuck the stand away. I imagine there's a lot of stands in a lot of lofts. I've got a lot of I've got at least 3 stands, 4 stands in a loft, and I suspect they'll remain there even after the TVs have departed. Now this is quite a nice monitor actually. It's a big old size as well. I'm just going to pop that lid on the back and then we'll plug it in because I think it's quite easy to, yeah, the lid just snaps off, and I know you can't see me doing it, but if you've got one like this, you will be able to snap the lid off without much thought. He said, having difficulty snapping the lid off. Let's just see how this front edge works, just in case there's a little bit of lid action needed. Whoa! Whoa! Okay. Bad stuff happens. Bad stuff happened. Right, okay. Let's place that down there. The lid itself is fine, that's come off. Kind of no problem, it just had some fiddly clips. So this has been opened before, as you can probably tell, because I just noticed when I said bad stuff happens, is because everything just sort of jumped and shifted. This is quite common actually in at least Dell monitors. I only really experienced Dell where you've got this caddy that sort of holds all the gubbins, power supplies, whatnot. But before we go any further, I will, and I've just noticed there are some broken clips, so yes, I didn't take that apart properly either. Oh dearie me. I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to plug, I've got a Chromecast here as well, so I'm just going to plug power into the monitor, hopefully not electrocute myself. Zap. And plug a Chromecast in here. There we go. And, it is upside down, that's fine. See, it's a Dell monitor. Just want to make sure it goes on. Come on. Well, hang on. If the backlight's dead, how do we know? Yeah. There are some LED action there, but yeah, I don't think we saw any flickering of the screen. So what we can do is go a bit further in here and see what we can see. Now I'm going to remove bits of the monitor that were supposed to come off with that white panel. Ow. In fact, these all look like these would have been attached to the white panel, so I don't think it's going to be going on anytime soon. Maybe it wasn't me who broke that. No sir, I think this came to me broken. Although it's probably not going to be reassembled in this case. Okay, just looking at the board here on the left, because they always have a little widdy PCB with all these controls, so just be a bit ginger with that. Don't want to break those. There we go. And there's something on the front, that's the on button. This is the little bit of ribbon cable down here on the left that goes to that on button. Single screw holding that in. Let's see if we can lift the main chassis out. We can indeed. There we go. So that's pretty common. So that assembly so far, in fact, let me just undo that one remaining screw here for our button of onness. Oops, screws disappeared. There we go, bin that. Hooray! Now we've got our panel exposed. So that's That's what you want. If you're going to make a home arcade or like the wall mounted Game Boy or game system or whatever, that's all you need. This is ready to go. So don't be afraid of buying up all those old panels and molesting them for your needs. This one's good. It's got DVI, HDMI, VGA and sound in and out. So if you're putting HDMI in, you can get the audio out to amplify in your little arcade. So this would be a great little board for that. So let's figure out how to get this main board off. Screws, 2 screws in the end, just going to tack those. If I can find a screwdriver that will fit. And indeed I do have one. So I had a discussion the other day on Twitter about the legitimacy of using LCDs in arcade cabinets when the CRT has failed. And for me it's like a no-brainer. Absolutely. I am not a massive fan of CRTs, and if one's duff, then I think it's fine. If you're trying to keep your arcade machine totally legit and authentic, fine, go get one if you really want to mess with it. But for me, I don't think the intellectual property lies in the cabinet. For me, it's all in the software. So as long as the game works, I am happy. Right, let's see how we would disconnect this. So this is an interesting looking clip. It doesn't appear to have ever been removed from here because it's got definitely a couple of blobs of glue there catching it, so that I might be a bit ginger, but it looks like you push these clips in and pull it backwards. Yes, that's nice, that's good. Right, control board's out. So that's power supply on the right and the just basic I/O on the left. So if you really were trying to mount this and you had, you wanted even more room, you could plop all this out and try to mount that somewhere else in your enclosure. But I think it's nice and safe behind that metalwork generally. So here, these are the 2 wires for the cold cathode. That's the LV low voltage differential signal for the panel itself. And be careful, it's on a massive flexi. That's on a massive ribbon there. You would not want to trash that. So I'm just studying the enclosure just to see how it's fit, working my way around it. I don't see any screws, so it might just pop off, and indeed it looks like it just pops off. So just gingerly, rather gingerly popping those off with my sort of tip of my finger here. But I am going to have to resort to some spludgerage at some point. Let's just see what we can just gently lift off without too much strain. It's kind of coming already, really. Come on, boy. There we go. Don't slip, don't slip. It's trying to run away. Got it. Just going to work my way around. That'll do. That'll do. And I'm trying to work out if the main part of the screen is connected to the front of this or to the back. It seems to be, yeah, this is the back, that's fine. Got 1 screw here, just going to tack that. Not with a slot screwdriver. Again, be very ginger with that ribbon at the back. Because if you crank that off, you might as well quit. Game over, man. There we go. Panel ruined. Okay, so as we are on that sensitive corner, I'm just trying to pay a little bit more attention there. Just going to need to get something in here. Get that out. Okay, let's turn this round. Have a proper look at this side. It does have those same sort of clips in among and around that circuit board, so, and using the same technique but just trying not to put masses of pressure on that ribbon. However, it does seem to be quite tenaciously connected to something. Nope, it's there. It's going to come. Just needs that bit of ginger handling. let's flip it over now. I think we're ready. I think we are ready. Look at that. Oh, okay. Let's not go nuts here. How is that connected? So we've got an adhesive that's holding that ribbon on this front bezel. Okay, you can fold it over, but can I detach it? I think to prevent further future damage, I'm going to just cut it. Don't slip. There we go. Phew! So if I slipped and instead of cutting the tape I cut that ribbon, that would have been definitely a big old game over. Look at that. That's very, very sensitive part there. Now the bit that was of interest was that this has a very interesting construction that could make it useful for some fun projects. Now the bit that makes that useful though is kind of dependent on me getting this kind of further disassembled, so I'm just going to keep at that. Let's just see if we can get this last bit of plastic chassis off, and we're not almost there. There we go. I'm getting snow blindness of this bloody piece of metal. Would quite like it off now. Come on now. So that's the panel in there. Crikey, it's a cheeky one. It really is. Now the bit that makes it interesting apparently is that you can remove, this is the cold cathode pack on here on the back. I'm just going to hold it up on my knee for a second just to have a quick look in there. Now I can't guarantee it's not already been broken in messing around, but oh, I think I got it. Hang on. Right, so that's the screen. Oh. And there we go. That's the actual TFT. That's what I wanted. Look, that razor thin TFT screen. Because I had the notion that it might be possible to hold this up to a window or some light, and you could just, you know, use it like a frame and shine things through it, which is going to be ever so cute. So the real test though is if we can actually take this all off and power it up and get something to show on it, or whether or not it's just totally ruined at this point. But let's see. I think there's no better thing to sort of rest it on than probably this frame. But what we've got here though is all of those layers. It's really thick. It's hard to describe how thick this is. It's about 6mm thick easily. I mean, absolutely. And if you haven't seen one before, I'll dismantle it. It's quite interesting to see. If I can get these wires out. Okay, we've kind of got some broken wires right now. I'm just going to cut the wires. I'm going to cut the wires so you can see what's inside. And if you looked at my video that on the LED ceiling lights, you'll notice a lot of similarities because it's basically the same technology going on. I'm just going to put this TFT panel down. It's quite large and easily smashed. And you just have loads of layers of fun stuff. So these are all different reflective layers, and they're quite thick vinyl. I mean, these are useful for projects. I'm going to keep this. So these are all the thick layers. And then you've got this whopping great massive chunk of acrylic. It's a really thick, lovely piece of acrylic. Look at that. And it's really quite nice optically. And then on the edges you have your LEDs, or in this case, which is genuinely cold cathode. And actually the end of the cold cathode looked like it was damaged, so props, that's what was wrong with it. You can see, snapped it there, that's a fluorescent tube. like you used to have in your kitchen. It's a tiny little fluorescent tube, and you're not really supposed to dick around with them because they do contain traces of mercury. Or may contain it, I mean, I'm not sure, but there you go, that's what they look like. And they're just like very long straws, but please don't drink anything out of that. That's not going to be good. And I don't know, can we just... Oop, there you go, they're definitely glass. You can see how they smash. Be a bit careful with them, but yeah, we'll put that in the old recycling. I think that's going to be the safest way of disposing of one of those. Oops, dropped it. And you're going to get another one in the other end. Let's see if that one sort of survived a bit better. Yes, you can see there, long thin tube in there, and that's it, just that tube running along there and terminated at the end. Again, exactly like the ones in your kitchen. And the last bit that's sort of useful and salvageable is this, not this white reflector, but look at this gorgeous piece of plastic. I mean, this is, not now that I've knackered it, but imagine having such a nice optically pure piece of acrylic. It's just really square cut. Look at that. I mean, you can look, it's hard to show you, but you can look down the end. If you literally look down the edge of the acrylic, you can see straight through it absolutely perfectly. So if you put something underneath it with some writing on it, see that? You can just see down there perfectly clear. It's like looking through crystal. I don't know, if you think of refraction and reflection, all of that, that's a stonking thing. I'm going to keep that. Gorgeous. These are all good, useful stuff. I mean, this last bit, less so. I'm not really interested in that. Right. Good. That was interesting, but all academic to what we're trying to achieve, really. Because what we're trying to achieve requires the use of this piece of tin. So I'm going to dust that off. Let's flip it this way. I'm trying to figure out a way of keeping all of this together in a way that we can try it on our screen here. And again, maybe nothing quite so good as this to act as the thing that holds the screen together for us. And we've got to turn it that way because that's the most likely way we're going to get anything underneath it. And really, looking at this, it does look almost pitch black when you hold it up like that. I mean, it's you'd need quite a lot of light really to get anything interesting out of this. So I'm just going to connect that. Oh, it's a tricky one. It's so fragile. I don't know what I can do with it. I mean, let's see if I put it there. You can see it on the back of this show thing, but it just looks black to you, doesn't it? At home, it looks black to me, I have to admit. Just clicking our ribbon connector in. Make sure that's the right way around. Assume it can only go in one way. Slightly off camera, but just on the bottom of the screen. That's where I am at the minute. Got it clicked in. Good. So I just need to connect our power. Crikey. Our power and our Chromecast. It is on, but I'm finding it really difficult to show you. But fortunately, if you remember, I cut down a ceiling light when I made a back office kind of workbench light earlier. I'm going to try to slip that under it and see if you can see something, because it's quite a strange... Oh, there we go! Yes, you can see something. I'm just going to try to push that on board a bit more. Okay, a bit ginger, but yeah. So you can see the panel is definitely working. I mean, it is requiring an awful lot of light, but that would be actually probably quite acceptable, I think, if that was the LED backlight. And that's pretty much, these are pretty much what you saw with the cold cathode, but with the cathode strips removed and replaced with some LEDs. But yeah, you can see that's working there, and it's really thin. I think against a bright window you'd definitely be able to see something there. There are layers on these, polarizers and the like, and I don't know if removing some of those would help or not. It's it's tricky to know, and I'm not sure totally on the polarization of these, but yeah, you can see there's definitely some polarizing action going on. But yeah, I'm pretty pleased. That's it's really fun, and it's I've created a very fragile thing now to try to use in a project. You can see how thin that is. It's probably about 1 mil. But yeah, you could easily hold that up to a window, do something, if you can construct a reasonable sort of frame to do that. You have to have a think about that, because you're going to want the frame to hold all the electronics and gubbins as well. So you have to be quite wide though. If you look at the bottom edge there, that's your driver sort of connector. You've got a fair old thick chunk there to sort of absorb in and among that. But yeah, look at that, that's wonderful. Nice and fun. So any comments on what you think I could do with this? Again, bearing in mind it is rather thin and does seem to have cocked up. Maybe I can't do anything with it because it's expired now. But let's hope I can get that working. So yeah, let's leave it down below. And what do you think you could do with something like this? Would you make some sort of interactive display? I was hoping it'd be a bit more transparent, to be honest, that you could make maybe some sort of virtual mirror that you could just look into and have some sort of interesting kind of mirror effect. I'm going to try to turn it on again one more time with this little ribbon thing it comes with. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be happy. Oh well. Hopefully that's some inspiration to you. As ever, thank you for watching.